You're right though. You're right. How many times do I like go out to like, pick up a Target drive up order and then like pick up, some food and then like opt to sit in my car and
Car
eat said food
eats food.
as I'm watching traffic go. I find it enjoyable. I love eating in my car.
You went out to Dunkin' before we started recording today.
Yes, I did. Yes, I
And in
did.
my mind, I'm like, I have to record today. I can't leave the house.
But it's right down the street.
Yeah,
Everything's
nothing.
so close to me. Everything
Yeah,
is in like
I don't
within
have that.
reaching.
So
I That's the issue. You
yeah,
have to actually drive
yeah, I have to make a concerted
further.
effort to get
You
stuff.
do. You do.
Yeah,
Where it's like I've got like two targets with like 10 minutes of me. Like stuff is really when you've been here. You
yeah.
see, everything's like right at my
And you have
fingertips.
so many different options. I don't
Yeah.
like. I do have a Dunkin', but I don't like going to it because the drive-through is like it's like they built a drive-through after the fact, so it doesn't really fit.
Uh-huh.
So it's I always feel and there's a McDonald's by me that's the same way, and they redid it, and I still have issues getting all the way around.
And look, Alyssa needs her
It's
fries.
so I do love my fries.
Alyssa
It's
needs her
so
fries.
tight. I haven't had fries in a really long time because I've been on that health kick.
I
Health
know.
kick. But
Yay!
and now we're going away to the beach, and it's gonna be my skinny ass boyfriend and his 3 skinny young 20-something cousins
Oh,
and
good grief.
me. So, I mean, I'm not gonna get that fit by the end of May, but
Yeah.
we gotta get me at least less jiggly.
I mean, you know that I wanted to get less jiggly for our upcoming Bridgerton Queen's Ball experience.
Yeah,
Maybe I can lose, a handful of pounds, but it's not what I initially wanted to do. I wanted to like at least drop a good 15, but
yeah.
it is what it is. But I do have two trips coming up where it's like I need to be in better shape.
Better.
I've got two bike trips coming up with the man. One is in June. I
Motorcycle, not cycle
Oh,
cycle
yes, I'm
for
sorry, yes.
anybody who's wondering, she's
Yes.
not cycling around the world.
Oh, yes, let me clarify. Yes, I am the partner of a Harley man, so,
So suddenly
um
Naomi's in spandex.
right. So, I think June we're going to Charlotte, North Carolina for a motorcycle event, and then we're going back to Louisiana in August, I believe.
That'll
So,
be fun and hot.
yeah, yeah, very hot.
Louisiana in
But I can't
August.
wait to go back to New Orleans. Like, I love New Orleans so much, I
I've
cannot wait to
never
go back.
been. I've never been there and I've never been Vegas. But unlike New Orleans, I have zero interest in going to Vegas. So
Yeah, I Vegas does not
it's
appeal to me.
expensive and like what am I gonna do? Like I can just go on a
Eat at the
cruise ship.
buffets?
Then
I
I'll just go
mean,
on a cruise ship. Like
that's true.
to me it's the same thing.
Yeah, Vegas,
There's
I'm with you.
casinos, there's
Mhm.
buffets,
Mhm.
there's occasional like adventure rides. I know they have like things throughout the city.
Right, right.
There's hiking. I can do all of that on a cruise. And I
Basically.
can see different things and not be in America.
Basically. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So two trips coming up. So I've got some things to do before like May kicks in. Okay.
we're trying to
We're trying so hard. We're working out consistently. We're eating better. We're getting back on track. We're getting back to
you're
our
working
old
out consistently. I'm working out
you
occasionally throughout the week. But I do
well,
like move a lot at work and stuff and lift
you
patients and stuff
do.
like that.
You do. So we're
Mhm.
we're we're getting there, folks. Anybody else on a fitness journey?
You let us
I
know.
Yeah, let us know.
'Cause they tell you as you when you're young and spry that it just gets harder as you get older, and you're like, "Oh,
Oh
I
no,
know." And
it
then
really
you have to actually
does.
experience it, and it's a different feeling, even
It
when you
really
know it's
does.
coming.
Yeah. And I don't know what the hell COVID did to me, but I haven't been right since. And it is infuriating and is extremely frustrating to not feel like my normal self. Like it's beyond frustrating.
Well,
Um
I'm finally seeing a pulmonologist, So we'll get some, hopefully, a better plan to manage all the things that are going on. Because I mean, even when I've been jumping on the bike down in the garage, like I mean, it's hard for me to breathe,
Mm.
and like I haven't that I'm aware of had COVID, but I do have chronic bronchitis and stuff. But
Mhm.
something happened in the last 3 or 4 years where it's just gotten really bad.
See, that's crazy. That's
Yeah.
crazy. So, anyway, we're doing our best, right? We're doing our
Hmm.
best. So,
Yeah.
oh, well, 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 here we are back for another mega recording podcast session.
And you get my like sexy deep voice for this one.
Ooh. And
Woo.
I'm being a bad girl today because I'm actually drinking coffee on the air, but I need it.
I have my jug of water because I slept too much. It's now like 1 and I'm only here.
Hold up though. That is a cute water bottle case. That is
Have
so
you not
cute.
seen my water bottle and its
No, you
full
mentioned it in our private
outfit?
chat, but I didn't see it. That is
So
cute.
it's like one of these that has
Is it like the
the st-
neoprene?
yeah, it's got like, the plastic
I love
thing.
it.
It's like a regular ass half gallon plastic
But
bottle,
it's
but it
got
has
a
a little
strap so
neoprene
you can put
sleeve.
it across your body.
Yeah, and a little pouch so you can like it's
I
much
love it.
easier to cart around than my I have one that's like your Fahrenheit bottle or whatever it's called.
My iron flask. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I have an iron flask that's a half gallon, and it's really heavy and really hard to carry around.
Ma'am, yes, my 32 ounce is freaking heavy. It's,
Mhm.
vacuum insulated stainless steel. Yes, it's
I
heavy.
mean, it's
So I
great.
can't
It
imagine
keeps
what the
everything
gallon
cold,
feels
but
like
like,
or hot.
mhm.
But that's great. I love it. It's so cute.
Yeah.
I love that. Good for you.
Look
Okay.
at
Well,
me being healthy. Tempting to
look
drink
at
more
me
water.
getting extra caffeinated. All
Oh,
right.
I had 3 cups of coffee this morning and then still needed a nap. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's one of those days. But
So,
we're here to bring y'all the book goodness. That's what we're here to do.
I was gonna say, let's stop having like old lady bitch fest.
But is there anything better?
Next, I'll tell you about my bunions.
And my bad knees or that this one tricky left knee, I tell you. Oh man.
Oh
All right, well
god.
let's kick it off with what we are currently reading or what we recently finished. Would you like to
So,
start, madame?
sure. I'm only currently actively reading one book, which is
What?
because I'm about to start like 2 more, but like this is the timing of this is very weird.
Yeah, yeah.
So I have about 100 pages left into Every Generation, which is the Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I don't know what to call it, like memoir.
Yeah, like I liked you talking about it in your latest vlog
It's
because
very
initially I didn't know
interesting.
like what that book was about or what was going on with it.
So I mean, okay, so this Evan Ross Katz guy is like an Uber fan, and he writes for various magazines, etc., etc. Um, and I guess he got blocked by Kim Cattrall because he was bothering her too much, but
Oh.
on Twitter. But he is funny, and the his writing's very funny. Um, so it's very engaging to read. But he's like this Uber fan, so like because I don't have like a fanatical bone in my body.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I enjoy things, but I don't have that whatever that thing is that makes people like get dressed up and go to Comic Con. I don't have that.
Right.
Like or paint your face blue and go to a football game. Like
Mhm.
that's not me. That bone doesn't exist in my body. But like I love things and I enjoy them. And so like it's fun to read somebody who's absolutely obsessed break down something that I love. So it's been really interesting remembering things that I've forgotten from the show,
Yeah.
but I had started hearing things about how Joss Whedon was like kind of a dick or something was up with him or like he was not very nice to certain people on the sets, especially to women, yada yada. And but I didn't really know anything about it, and, like, we just started getting into that last night,
Yeah.
and, like, that dude, like, I don't know, like, not that I'll stop watching Buffy, but, like, I don't know if I need to watch any new things he creates because I don't wanna perpetuate him. He seems very, like, misogynistic and like the nerdy kid in school
Yeah.
who couldn't get the girl, so he's kinda mean to the women on the set, like, sort of as a retaliation, but he also, like, sleeps with people and does all these other things and allegedly, and, like, watch Joss Whedon comes for us 'cause
Don't do it, Joss. Don't do it.
So it's just been very interesting to see all of that, and then also to see the different responses from the different actors that have been on the show. Um,
Mm.
because it's at Charisma, what's her face comes out and says Charisma, what's her face? I'm really great at names.
Yeah.
Um, Cordelia comes out
Mhm.
with allegations, I think back in 17, I don't know, not too long ago. Or maybe I'm getting the Redonda case mixed up in my brain in terms of timing.
Oh my
But,
gosh.
well, that's a whole nother episode we could have where I just get to go off, but, we won't. Um, yeah, so it's interesting, like, she came out finally comes out with a statement because she had all kinds of issues with him and when she was on Angel as well, and I guess oh, yeah, it was actually in 2021, so this is all really recent that she actually made the
Oh,
statement.
shoot, that was
But I
just
guess there
last
had
year.
been some things that kind of that there's been rumors. It's not like nobody had heard of it. It was just, like when Hollywood, when people have power or influence and are making other people with power and influence money, they get, especially when they're white men, they get insulated. And it's like
Yeah.
okay for you to do certain things because there's value on the other side. And the noise isn't so loud that it detracts from that. But like if there's enough noise, like I think that's what like the Me Too movement
Mhm.
really becomes is it becomes enough noise to make
People,
people
yeah,
in power have to say, okay, I actually have to address this because
absolutely.
we can't ignore it anymore. Like there's too many of those crazy women trying to get rights and
Exactly. Exactly.
be
So here's
treated
the thing.
appropriately and all that stuff.
So you shocked me because I hadn't heard anything about Joss Whedon, and admittedly, I am a huge Joss Whedon fan.
He
Like I
makes
watched Buffy in real
wonderful
time.
shows.
I was all into Firefly. I was all into Serenity. I was all into like I am a fan. So
I
and
mean,
I
I
never
binge
heard any
watched
of
The
that.
Nevers in, like, one night, but it's weird because he always makes these a lot of his shows have these incredibly powerful female
They
characters or
do.
female storylines,
Mhm.
and, like, he just yeah. I mean, there were a lot of stuff that came out, but I guess, like, Charisma Carpenter, um, he was really nasty to her on the set of Angel, and I guess on Buffy too, but it really started coming to a head when she got pregnant. And
What?
then he called her fat, he did other things. He would like spitefully kill people off in shows if he didn't like them.
Excuse me?
Um he and her whole statement, which I'm not going to read here, but her whole statement, and I'm sure you can find it somewhere, is it's quite alarming what happened, but it ends basically with like she has a baby and then she gets fired because obviously you can't fire her when she has a baby. But
I
whatever
wonder
she
if
was,
he treats his wife like that.
well, they're not married anymore, and the wife came out and made statements about him because they
I
got
even
divorced.
missed
I
him
think
getting
because
divorced.
they are at least separated because he was cheating on her and he was having affairs, and she came out and said that he's incredibly like
Oh my
aggressive and he's
gosh.
an asshole and all these things. So yeah, I mean now that like literally like it's like chapter 12, this book gets like into the tea. And like all I knew is like Josh Sweden's like not a great guy. And I was like, okay, does anybody want to elaborate on that? And like nobody ever really elaborated on it. Like they did if I looked for it, but it wasn't like in front of my face. So and I didn't really think about it because I don't watch a lot of TV anymore. So it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. Another guy in Hollywood is
But I
problematic.
hadn't heard one thing, and I hadn't seen not one headline about him.
Yeah. Well, it sounded almost like a lot of the women on the set weren't really talking to each other post production. And then
Mhm.
after this, they all started to talk to each other, and it's almost like they all got all their stories in line, and they're like, "Oh wait, he was doing that to you too? Like I just thought it was
Wow.
me."
This is disheartening, like,
You
I
felt
love
that
so
way
much of his
too?
stuff. Dr.
I
Horrible
know.
Sing-Along blog,
He's
Cabin in the
so
Woods, like,
he's really good, but he seems like he's a terrible person.
this is really
And I
disheartening.
have to reconcile this in my brain because, the first half of this book is all about, why Buffy was such a wonderful show despite its ups and downs of seasons. Like it really is truly a wonderful show. And Sarah Michelle Gellar is amazing in it if
We
you think
love
about it.
her.
And the amount of people in the show that were like nobodies, especially in the
Yes,
beginning,
absolutely.
like it was a really special little thing.
And isn't it funny how the series took off so much so that you forgot there was ever a movie?
But I remembered the movie. I never forgot there was a movie because I
But,
actually
like,
enjoyed the movie.
the
I'm
movie
one of the
was
weird people
good,
that
but
liked the movie, but they had nothing to do with each other.
it's crazy.
Mm. And
It's
that was on
crazy.
purpose because I think Joss worked on the movie too, and he was like, "No, I don't want them to have any actual connection with each other other than the
Mm,
fact that it's Buffy."
yeah. Well, it definitely
So,
overshadowed the movie, that's for sure.
yeah. I mean, if you've ever enjoyed Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I would read it, and then if you have enjoyed any of his other shows, outside of that, and maybe weren't as big a fan of Buffy, I still think you should read it because it would. I think there's a lot of information in here that is not getting said. I think it's funny what there's so many people who do bad things and who gets the airtime and who doesn't. Like who
Mm.
gets the frenzied, lots of people talking about it, lots of eyes on it, lots of noise, and who just like gets a statement but doesn't really go anywhere. Like, and why? Because even
Does
Like Harvey Weinstein, people knew, and it wasn't until like a lot of people said stuff, and
yeah,
then it was like, no, you never stopped hearing about it. But he wasn't the only one.
right, right. I mean, I'm sure that list is so long, we spend years going through the
Yeah,
list. And then not to mention all the
I
enablers
mean,
of
he
said
was
powerful
very
person.
egregious. So like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And what was the guy on the news? What was his name? Matt Lauer,
Oh,
when
yes.
he
Oh, I
would like
forgot about
lock
him.
women in his office.
Mhm.
Ugh,
Yeah.
ugh, ugh, men,
Some of you men are real
ugh,
disgusting, just
men.
real disgusting. Check yourselves. Also, you came out of
Mhm,
a woman, right?
mhm. We'll put
Perhaps
you
you should
back.
respect them more.
Mhm, mhm,
Just a little reminder. Just a
mhm.
reminder. A whole woman had a part in bringing you to life.
A whole woman's gonna have a part in taking you out.
It's crazy. It's crazy because it does seem like it's like, did you forget you have a mother? Like, even if you
I
don't have any sisters, any daughters, like you have a mother.
Well, that's my favorite argument. That's like, well, he can't be a misogynist. He has a daughter.
Ha!
I know.
Have you met any of the GOP? What are you talking about?
I have met many men in my
Come on.
lifetime who have many daughters and are still creepy and weird and
Yeah.
molesty. Is
All that
molesty
stuff.
a word?
We're making it one. We're making it one. Well, now I want to read the book because I did a Buffy rewatch last year, and I hadn't done a rewatch in quite some time, and it was really fun
I
going
think
back
I
and
have an
watching Buffy again.
I think I have an arc still of this,
Ooh,
which I can send you.
dibs! I've got my hand raised for people that aren't watching the video. Dibs.
Dibs.
That sounds really great. It'd be
Like
nice
I
to
totally
read it from
forgot that
a
like
real fan's perspective.
yeah, and there's things like I just totally forgot. And then like as soon as you said it, I'm like, "Oh yeah." And I
Yeah.
realized that I don't think I've watched season 6 and 7. Like, when it left the WB, I don't know if I watched those 2 seasons,
Oh, so what fun.
and if I did, I definitely wasn't watching, like, avidly, and I
Yeah.
don't remember. You know what I mean? Like, I probably
Mhm.
didn't watch all the episodes. It was like, "Oh, it's on, I'll watch it."
Yeah.
But, like, when it was on the WB, I was like, "I am this is my
Yeah.
show. Don't
Yeah.
turn off my stories."
Well, listen,
Like,
continue your rewatch.
we
Continue
might
your
do that later
rewatch.
today because I'm rewatching it with Jesus, so I can't just, like,
Okay.
binge. But, I think after I get some reading done, because I wanna work on our March book club pick, which
Mhm.
I haven't even cracked open. Um,
It's really good.
I
It's
know
really
it's supposed to
good.
be really good, and I'm gonna start that. And also my audio hold for the Books of Jacob came in again, and I didn't wanna push it back again, so I'll be starting that
Oh, wait a
probably
minute
this
now.
week.
Gosh darn it. Don't you leave me on that. Don't you leave me on that.
You've
Wait a
heard it
minute.
here first, Naomi.
Where let me see where my hold. Well, I'm just going to start it physically then because I still have I, yeah, I think I'm weeks away and it's mine's been on hold for a while.
I think your library systems in the DC area are better than my library system, and I use the New York Public Library a lot. So, like, I feel like the New York Public Library needs to step up their game. Like,
Well, here's the thing, depending on the book, right? So like with the books of Jacob, so I'm in 5 library systems. But for the books of Jacob, only one of my library systems has the book.
yeah, I mean, only the New York Public
So,
Library has I'm on 3 libraries and only New York Public Library had it,
yeah.
but their wait time wasn't very long, and every Olga T
Oh, I'm
book
second in line.
ooh, good. All my Olga T books, except for the fact that that book is 900 pages.
Right.
It's like a 36-hour audiobook, which is why I wanna start it right away because it's so long. So
Mhm.
I have to get it going, and I'm gonna have to start book 5 of Wheel of Time soon
Mhm.
too,
And book 6 of
of The
the
Expanse.
Expanse series. I'm going to
But
start mine this week because my audio hold is going to run out in like
mine I kicked
5
my
days,
audio
I
hold
think.
back. I don't think it'll be here till the beginning of April, so anyway, you guys, we are just giving you all of our reading.
I mean, look, this hey, we're readers. This is what we do. We got a lot of things on the books here. We got a lot of things on the books. Let me tell you something too. So,
Mhm.
here's my confession about the Wheel of Time series.
Do you hate
I'm
it?
not looking forward to reading the rest of it. I'm not excited about it.
I'm
It's
not
just
gonna
like
lie. Like, it's really I have very weird feelings on it because, like, I want to read them because I'm curious,
I am
but I
curious.
am not, like, in love. But there are certain characters that I do enjoy, like, I like Perrin, and I still want
Yeah.
Perrin to kill what's his face, and, like, I like the girls,
Mhm.
and I love, Loyal.
Mhm.
So there
Loyal
are
is just so great.
I
He
just
really is.
but, like, then
But
there's,
overall I'm not excited about the series.
yeah, I'm a little bit like, "Why does everybody like this so much?" Because
Yeah.
also it feels like they could have been edited down, like, every book feels like there's excess that could be taken out of it,
Yes,
and it's
ma'am.
only there because I I feel like my opinion, it feels like some of it's only there because it's expected to be there because at the time, if you were writing epic fantasy, it's
Mhm.
written like this, and
Mm.
I don't think you need it to be like that.
Good point. Good
Because there
point.
are really long fantasy books, like, I just read The Black Prism, which I'm gonna keep going with next month too. That book is quite long, not like Wheel of Time long, but quite long,
Yeah.
and has a lot going on in it, but the pacing is quick, it
Mhm.
doesn't feel repetitive, it doesn't feel like you could have chopped this scene and it would have made 0 impact on the story.
Right. You know you're gonna make me break down to get that freaking book, right?
Yeah.
It was really on my mind this week. I was like, I'm gonna have to track down this book.
Okay, but, like, what did I buy because of you? The Black Company, the
And
A book that I'm assuming is gonna be something you're talking about on this on one of these
Yes, I
episodes.
on this one.
Or
Yes.
would you like to talk about the other book that you made me read?
That I made you buy?
Yeah, I haven't read it yet. That's right. That you
Yes.
made me buy
What?
because you would shut the heck up about it.
Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco, I think it's Malors.
The book that you finished and then started rereading. If that is not a glowing recommendation, I don't know what is.
Well, I guess I should just jump into it. So,
Yeah, go for it.
I recently read Cleopatra and Frankenstein by Coco Malors. I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. And this was one of my anticipated 2022 releases, and it did not disappoint. I cannot explain the chokehold this book has on me, but it's got me. So I
I
finished it
can.
last week and I started reading it again last night. Let
I
me
can. Every time she talked to me, she would just look at me with these dreamy eyes and go, "Oh, Alyssa, this book. I just, I love this book. You
let me
have
read
to
a bit of
get
the
this book."
synopsis. Okay, let me read a little bit of the
What's it about? It's
synopsis. All
about a
right.
marriage.
All right, so okay, I'm going to read the inside flap. Okay, 24-year-old British painter Cleo has escaped from England to New York and is still finding her place in the sleepless city when a few months before her student visa ends, she meets Frank. 20 years older and a self made success, Frank's life is full of all the excesses Cleo's lacks. He offers her the chance to be happy, the freedom to paint, and the opportunity to apply for a green card. But their implosive marriage irreversibly changes both their lives and the lives of those close to them in ways they never could have predicted. So, there are other side characters, and all the characters are great, but in particular, this centers around Cleopatra's and Frankenstein's relationship, Cleo and Frank. And like the flap says, she's younger, he's a little older, they get married, she needs this green card so she can stay in the city or whatever. And, initially, like when they first meet, it's so sweet. We've all been there. You meet some random guy on the street or whatever, or at some event, some party, and it's all flirty and cute, and you're having a good time. And so you're like 6 months later, they get married. And things sort of kind of seem like they're going well, but like the first half of the book, I'm reading it and I'm like, whoa, like I feel like the train is getting ready to jump off of these tracks. Number one, they both have some serious deep trauma from their childhoods as it relates to their parents, right? And so
Don't
all
we
that's kind of
all?
playing out in their, within themselves and in their marriage. Um, Cleo is very, she's very young, trying to figure out what she's doing with her life, trying to make it as an artist. Frank is a little too comfortable with the drink, so those
Mhm.
things begin to butt heads in their relationship. And I don't want to give anything away, but like things just slowly begin to unravel in like the biggest of ways. And some of these, let me read some of these parts where like things really come to a head. They were just like so gut wrenching. There's this part where, what was she saying? Oh man, have you ever been with somebody and, oh, here we go. Wait, let me glance just to make sure that what I'm getting ready to read you doesn't spoil anything.
Okay, don't do that. I'll
Um,
be mad at you then.
yeah, I don't want to spoil it for anyone because I really want people to read this book. Okay, so Cleo, something happens, okay? Something happens and it's real serious. And so Frank says, "You're just trying to hurt me." And she says, she shook her head. "No," she says, "I'm trying to survive you." Frank took another step back. "Survive me? What are you talking about? I supported you. I gave you everything I had. Survive me? How could you say that?" I'm not going to read anymore, but like, I have been in that type of a situation where you're with someone and you do feel like you're so much under the weight of whatever their issue is. You are literally trying to survive them. Like this book just hit home for me on so many levels. And I do wonder, depending on your age, your experience as it relates to being in relationships or having been married. I wonder what your take will be on this particular book because a lot of stuff hit home for me from beginning to end. And I think that's why it just kind of like gripped its arms around me and wouldn't let me go because a lot of things felt very, very familiar. Like when I finished this book, I wanted to go in a corner and cry my eyeballs out.
I'm trying to think if I've ever said that out loud.
I've said something similar out loud, something very similar to I'm trying to survive you. And I've had those thoughts like how can I escape you? And escape can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people, right? So this book was very intense. It is very page turnery because there's so much going on. It's so intense and you are just in the thick of it. And I devoured this book. I read it physically. I read like 50 pages a day because I also I kind of didn't want to leave the story. I wanted
Yeah.
to stay with it, so I really took my time with it, but even after I finished it, I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I was like, "F it, I'm just gonna read it again." So I started reading it again last night.
I do feel like that's a book that's getting a lot of buzz right now, and that I think we'll see on some book lists next year.
I I am definitely thinking you're gonna see it on book lists for sure. And
I'm
I'm
sorry, I had to
very
eat a tiny chocolate bar.
you just go right ahead. I'm very excited about what this book is how this book is gonna fare on various lists next year.
I mean, I think that is an emotion that a lot of people have when they live with somebody else. And it can be to the point where like you need the relationship to end, but it can also just be like, I need you to go away so that
Mhm.
I can miss you because we are on
Yeah.
top of each other. We are in each other's space. Like I can't, whatever, yada yada. And
Yeah.
like everybody needs that time to
Mhm.
themselves. Like, and it gets hard when you're no longer a you and you're a we. It is hard.
Yep. Yeah, and sometimes you're in something so toxic,
Yeah.
but you love that person
Hmm.
and at the same time you recognize you've got to get away from this person and that's hard too.
Yeah.
That's very hard too. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm on my first reread of this book in the same month and that's just where I am. I got it from the library and when I was about halfway through, I just
You went out
decided
and
just
bought it.
I just went out and bought it. I was like, this is my book. I got to get my own copy.
And then she
So,
didn't shut up about it. And when I was going shopping, I bought one.
yeah. Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I can't wait to hear your take on it. You know what I mean? Like you've been married, you've been divorced.
The two divorced ladies talking about this book.
Right, right. But I want to hear your take on it. I got married very young, I was what, 22? So, it's just very interesting. I loved it. I loved it.
I did not get
Everybody read it.
married. I did not get married that young. Oh, I got chocolate on my face now. But I did. We met when I was 22 and moved in together when I was 22.
Mm. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, so and then also the cover is just it's a stunning cover also. But it is a meaty book full of everything and I'm in love with it. That's what I have to say. Just read it.
You're too much.
Yeah. You know, I don't know. It's yeah. And I'm not a nighttime reader, but when I was getting to the end of this book, like I stayed up until like 1:30 to finish it. And that's not me. I'm not a that's not my thing. I don't enjoy reading at night, but I couldn't put it
I
down.
mean, that says a lot about the book. Maybe
It
when I
does.
finally finish it, we can discuss it.
Yes. Yes. Because the man came to bed and like he was like, "Are you reading right now?" It's like I was like, "Just don't just silence for like 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes." Let me just finish these final pages.
Does yours listen when you say that?
Yes, because he doesn't want the jaws to come out.
Oh, mine doesn't apparently have any fear. You can look.
Well, he knew it was serious because I don't read at night. Like I just don't do that. So he knew I was really into it. So it
So
was a
yeah,
wonderful reading
matching.
time. Thank you, Miss Coco, for this wonderful book. She's already working on her second novel.
Oh, good. Is this a debut too?
Yes, this is a
Oh
debut as
my
well.
god.
And listen, I think this is a hell of a debut. Seriously, a hell of a debut.
Now, honestly, I haven't read this yet, but I do have this working theory that I think debuts are sometimes in the early career of an author their best books because
Mhm.
it's the book they've been working on the sidelines without a timeline for the longest.
Yeah, I think it took her 7 years to write
Oftentimes.
this book.
And not a lot of authors then end up on a timetable where they can take another 7 years, 10 years to write a novel. Now their publisher wants one every year, 2 years, 3 years, so now you don't get the same time to stew in your story.
Yeah, yep, because she says in the acknowledgments, this novel took over 7 years to complete, during which it was nurtured and improved by many, many people.
Yeah. Like, not everybody is Donna Tartt who can put out a book every 10 years and gets on her first debut novel one of the largest book advances ever.
Wow.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, so
she got an obscenely large advance. I can't remember what it was. It was like $500,000, something like that.
really?
Yeah.
Crap. Was that for the
That was
Goldfinch?
no, that was for her first book. That was
Oh,
for
for
The
her
Secret
first book.
History.
Oh, okay. Mm. But it was the Goldfinch that won the Pulitzer, right?
Yeah.
We both love that book.
Yeah, that one was great.
Yeah.
I did not like Little Friend, and I mean, The Secret History, I was like, "I hate all of you."
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh, let me see what she got. Oh, yeah,
She
she got 45 she got $450,000 in an advance, just her
mm,
advance for The Secret History.
wow.
And she was a
Well,
brand new author that, like, she hadn't published anything. She just came out of the same school as, like, Bret Easton Ellis and all of them, and she was
mhm.
friends with them, and she was part of, like,
Like that literary brat
an
pack, if you
oeuvre
will.
of literary.
Yeah, the literary brat pack.
Yeah, she really was in that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
anyway, I did go on a if you're ever wondering, I did go on not you, you know this, but dear listeners, I did go on a Donna Tartt deep dive last year. Because
Yes.
there's just something about her that I feel like I'm fascinated by her, but I also feel like she might be a little bit of a see you next Tuesday. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I kind of just like I need to know more.
Yeah. She's
It's
an
almost like there's like a
interesting
Grey
woman.
Gardens element to her. Like there's like
Oh, I can
some
totally sense that.
sort of secret something about her.
Yes, I get that sense. I'm right there with you.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So Goldfinch came out when? How many years ago? I'm trying to see when we can
I
expect
think
another book of
she's
hers.
about due for another book. Um
And is she not one of those authors that
she has
kind of
about a
puts her
10-year.
business out there like on social media? She doesn't seem like
Nope.
that type. Okay,
Nope, I
just
don't even think she doesn't need it.
right. Interesting because
She
the
does do interviews and stuff, but not a ton, and she does do some marketing around her books when she goes out and about, but, like, she's not somebody that's, you know, there all the time, just, like, in your face.
oh yeah, we are really due because the Goldfinch came out in 2013.
Yeah, she's about due
So
for
we could be
another
getting
book. She's
something
got
next
about a
year.
10-year turnaround on books,
Mhm.
so but, I mean, when your first book nets you, like, just before you ever even got it published, that much money, I mean, it's not like she does it she has to do it to put food on her table.
Well, I was also getting ready to say not every author can do that.
Yeah.
Can just say like, okay, no, I'm only going to write a book every 10 years.
And I'm
I
gonna
think,
stew in my book and
yeah,
write it and perfect it. I
yeah,
mean, and her writing is this is becoming a very interesting episode here where we're
I'm
just all
loving
over
it,
the
by the
place.
way.
Welcome. Um, this is how I live my life. I just wing it. Anyway, but I mean, she's got a lot of influence from Dickens, which you can see
Hmm.
in her writing, especially in like the depth and breadth of her writing, the way that
Hmm.
like the meticulous detail, the like it's yeah, you can see that in her writing. But as much as she writes really, really well, I don't think she always hits the mark, which is interesting when you go through 10 years. Because like a little friend, I made it about halfway through and I was like, what the fuck? Because it's like, because it's beautifully, I mean, the woman can write the shit out of a book. Like she is
Yeah.
an amazing writer. Almost like an Aaron Morgenstern,
Hmm.
where she can write the shit out of a book, but that doesn't mean it's gonna connect. Because like a little friend was just like, I didn't get the point. It
Ah,
it felt like too character driven, too disconnected in some way. I don't know if she was trying to like just capture a time, place, sense of like a specific part of the South, but like
yeah.
everything felt very like it was flirting with being just a little too racist and like and I don't know if
Okay.
that was like
Intentional
because I didn't
or
know what the point with the book was. So it's kind of
right.
like, are you just trying to highlight characters that exist in this world? And it makes sense for the characters to be that way? Or what? Like,
Yeah.
and to be fair, I only made it about halfway through before I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Well, that's
And then I
so
got rid of that book.
interesting.
I mean,
Yes,
in
and see,
Secret
I've only
His,
read The Goldfinch. That's the only thing I've read by her, and I absolutely loved The Goldfinch. So I don't have any experience with those other books. I have no nothing.
I would read The Secret History because I it is a very well written book, and I'd be curious to see where you fall on it.
Okay, I shall do it for you. When we're
Yeah.
out together in April doing our book shopping, if I run
We'll
across a
try to
copy,
find you a
I'll grab it.
copy.
Yeah. And I will, so we can kind of talk about it. Because I would like to, I know that we talked about, and this is considered dark academia or not.
Mhm.
It is
It is.
okay, right, right, because it's on all the lists, right. So we did have a conversation about dark academia some weeks ago. I would like to revisit that conversation later on in the year. I
Yeah.
actually found a couple of books when I was redoing my home library. I found a couple of books that I was going to get rid of, and I was like, let me just, some books that I've had like for a few years, 2, 3 years. Let me just read the inside and like kind of see if what I read tickles my fancy. And apparently, I've got two other books that are classified as dark academia on my shelves. So definitely want to
Yeah.
revisit that
Read
topic
it.
later on. So I would definitely add
Yeah.
the secret history to it as well.
I think, and we can talk about this when you get there and you read it. I think some of my problem with The Secret History is that, and why it's what I don't like about like Bret Easton Ellis and
He wrote
his
less,
writing.
right?
He wrote
Le-
Less Than Zero.
oh, okay, not less.
Yeah.
Okay, wrong book. Got it.
And is that it's not the writing, it's that I hate everybody in the story. So it's like how I felt reading The Catcher in the Rye, which I
Mm-hmm.
loathe The Catcher in the Rye. So like anything that gives me those feelings, it's really hard for you to make me like your book, if that
Right.
makes any sense.
It makes
Because
all the sense in the
I
world.
just hate that sort of just whiny, just fucking suck it up, boy. Like, I don't know. There's something about like your life really isn't that bad. Please stop complaining about it. Or
Yeah.
like, which is like Less Than Zero. I was like, I'm really sorry that you're all really rich and just get to like do drugs and complain about how sad your life is. It was
Mm-hmm.
very this my so-called life, but like on
A
overdrive.
higher
And
level. Yeah.
not My So-Called Life. That's a different show. What am I thinking of?
That was Claire,
That was
wasn't
that
it?
was Claire. Yeah, that's not what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking about the movie. Oh God, what's the movie? It's like it's got Renona Wider, that one, and that lady, and Um, Ben Stiller is in it. He's like the older boyfriend with the Mercedes, The Big Gulp. Do you know what movie I'm talking about? Everybody drinks out of a big gulp. Very 90s, like quintessential 90s. I think
Oh,
Ethan Hawke's
brain.
probably in it. My Sharona.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but I can see it.
Oh my, somebody has to know what this movie is.
Someone
Why
knows what
can't
it is.
I'm having a total brain fart. It's like one of my
Podcast
favorite.
trivia. If you know this movie, put it in the comments on Instagram on this post for this episode.
We're going to no, we're going to Ben Stiller. We're
She's
not.
going.
We're going to
She's
Ben
going to
Stiller's
IMDb.
IMDb, and we are going to find it. You shitting me? No, because
Oh, also,
it's gonna bother me all day.
I have before we get into our main topic for today, I have a surprising statement about a particular author that may shock you. So after we find this answer, I'm going to run this statement by you because it also shocked me, and I don't know how I feel about it. Um, it's a very unexpected thought and feeling.
Reality bites.
Boom, there it is. Yeah,
Yeah, but like reality bites, you like I don't know. I felt better with that. It didn't feel. It felt like all your characters sort of they
because there
kind of
was some
came to
comedy in between.
terms. Yeah, and they kind of come to terms with the fact that like I don't know, like it didn't feel so whiny.
Yeah, yeah,
But like I don't know. Secret History just feels like a bunch of rich kids that don't realize that they have it good and decide to make some really poor decisions because they can. And it's like they're thrill seeking for the sake of thrill seeking, and then
yeah.
there's like no repercussions for their actions. And I'm like,
Right.
what was the point?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. Okay. I'm
Anyway,
definitely gonna
so
get
what
that
is
book.
your
I'm definitely gonna read it. All right.
but maybe you'll feel differently than I did. And maybe I
Maybe.
need to reread it. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I missed the thing.
How many years
But
ago did you read it? Wait, it was last
last
year or
year,
2 years ago? Okay, last year.
last year.
All right. Here, here is something that I realized that really shocked me. All
Am I
right.
scared?
So,
Should I be scared?
not scared, but like it just may
Do I need a
surprise you as
comfy
well.
blanket? Okay, keep
You
going.
might need a cozy little blankie. I am starting to think that Sylvia Moreno Garcia may not be the author for me.
Ooh, tea.
And here's why I say that. All right, so let's back it up. Her book, Gods of Jade and Shadow, I have had since 2019. It was my very first book of the month pick. I have yet to
Mhm.
read it. For
I
whatever
haven't read it
reason,
either.
I cannot muster the desire to read that book. So it's still on my shelves, collecting all of the dust. The second book I ever bought from her was Certain Dark Things. I also bought that in 2019. I wanted to read it, just didn't get around to it until I think late last year, or maybe it must have been late last year. So Certain Dark Things is like a vampire book or whatever. I was really excited about it. And
Mhm.
so I read Certain Dark Things and it was fine, but I did feel like she had so much more room, kind of like what you were saying about Mexican Gothic.
Yeah.
She had so much room to like really go there, and I just feel like she did it, but I really wanted her to. And so because of that, Certain Dark Things felt very flat for me. Now, the second
I
book
haven't read that
that
one, so
yeah, but you own that one, right? Because you got that from
yeah.
yeah.
I own a bunch.
Yeah, so the second book that I read was no, I'm sorry. Mexican Gothic was the first book I read. There was a TBR Lowdown pick. I did enjoy Mexican Gothic. I really did. I thought the
Mhm.
atmosphere was great. And yes, she could have really gone in a little deeper and give us like super gothic stuff. But I was
Mhm.
still really fine and okay with what I read. I really enjoyed Mexican Gothic. So we get like 4 stars for that one.
Mhm.
And then I was super hype about Velvet Was the Night.
Mhm.
Everything about what the synopsis said, the brief little part that I read, I was like, okay, this seems right up my alley. And I got it from the library a few weeks ago. And I started reading it a couple of weeks ago. And I'm telling you, I could care less about this book. Like, I could care
I
less
can
about it.
I can hear Carmen being sad.
I know. And I love Carmen so much. I really do. She's good people.
She is.
Carmen, we're talking about Carmen from Tones of Textiles. Follow her if you don't, because she's amazing. She's a really good person. I really adore her.
She's a beautiful
I'm sorry,
person.
Carmen, but I don't know. Like I can't get into Velvet. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm so bored and I feel very disconnected.
Mm.
And I'm like, so I was like, what is going on here? Like, I thought Sylvia was like my jam, but like maybe she's not my jam.
Well, that's
Because I'm
okay. She doesn't
actually
have to be
not,
your jam.
but I wanted her to be, and I thought she was. And this is very off putting for me.
You're having a hard time swallowing this. It's
I
okay.
kind of am because I am.
No, I've
So,
only read Mexican Gothic, which I felt like was fine, but I really like Gothic novels and Gothic horror. I like that kind of like insular atmospheric setting in books. And I just felt like she didn't go hard enough into it. Like every time she started to really go there, she would pull back. And I felt like I was constantly kind of gypped in the story, and
mm-hmm.
which irritated me to no end. But her other one, The Beautiful Ones, which I have recommended here, I think that one was fantastic.
Yeah.
But
So
it
here's what
doesn't
I'm
sound like her other books are like The Beautiful Ones in any way, so
right.
I don't know. I don't feel like there was anything in The Beautiful Ones where I felt like she wasn't giving enough, that she could give more, that she could it just felt good. But that's like a really early work of hers, I think,
Well,
right?
so are certain dark things.
Yeah,
I mean, they just did a reprinting last year, but that came out what 2016.
I guess.
Yeah, 2016. The one I have came out in 2016, the original first printing. So here's what I'm thinking. I think that I'm going to give Velvet Was the Night another try.
Mhm.
And I also think that when her next book comes out, I will get it from the library and try that. And if these two books don't click with me, I think I'm going to have to give up on Sylvia Moreno Garcia.
I mean, that's fair.
It just came to such a shock to me. Um yeah. And as I'm talking right now, I still have no desire to read Gods of Jade and Shadow. I just
I really don't have a desire to read it, and I don't know why I got it.
yeah, I can't muster up the desire. So this
But I
is
still wanna read this one. I still wanna read
yeah.
Certain Dark Things.
Read it and let me know what you think because I mean I thought it was fine, but I just felt like I could have been like so much more deeper and a little bit more, I don't know, scary or something. I don't know. I wanted more.
Maybe she doesn't realize that she would do better as a longer form writer.
Mm,
Or
okay.
maybe, like, her editors and agents aren't directing her that way.
Well, so I don't know if it's necessarily about length of story. I think it's about the intensity of the story. Cause like
Well,
I felt like Certain Dark Things was very soft.
it doesn't if it gave you the same feelings that Mexican Gothic gave me, then I think it is a length thing because she doesn't seem to be able to get there.
Oh, to flesh it out more, to
Yeah, she
really
needs to
expand
flesh
on.
it out more. So,
Mhm.
like, there are authors who are phenomenal at brevity and really capturing, like, things in the smallest amount of words possible. I mean,
Like
you
P.
can
Jelly
see
Clark.
and that is a skill set and
Right.
an artistry that not every author has. And then there
So
are
true.
people that are really good at creating an expansive world. I mean, I'm thinking probably of like a Neil Gaiman would make. He
Mm.
does really well at like large. He not that he only writes long form, he writes shorter form books too. But like he can really go in and make a very long, robust, spend some
Yeah.
time. And sometimes, and I think he said this in like his master class where he's like, you know, you have to take things need the time it takes to unfold them. Like you need to when you're showing versus telling that kind of stuff, you have to
Yes.
do it for as long as it's needed for that moment. So like some things might be short and you don't have to put time there, but then for the pacing of the story and the like development of the story, you do need to go into other areas and dig deeper into there. And if nobody is directing you to do
Mhm.
that, because maybe the people who are reading it, because plenty of people read Mexican Gothic and were like,
Mhm.
this is perfect and great.
Mhm.
So if the people that are directing you are those readers, they're gonna be like, this is great.
Yeah.
I love this. But if maybe you had a different literary agent or editor,
Yeah.
they would direct you in a different area. I maybe I don't know. What do I know? I'm not in
I mean,
publishing. I'm just a reader. But
we're just talking, yeah.
I'd be curious to see if somebody. I would be curious to see if she came out with something that was a bit bigger, because all of her books are like they're not terribly long.
They're not too long. They
300
are in the
pages.
300 page mark. And
And I'm not
so
saying she needs to write an epic tome, but like
right, because
if
her new book that's coming out, again, it's coming out in July. It's called the Daughter of Doctor
M- Moreau.
Moreau. That is going to be 320 pages. So like her sweet spot is like 350 pages or under.
But what if she attempted to get to like more of a 450?
Yeah.
And doing that exercise, would she find areas to go a little harder and really flesh out the stories and make them more engaging as a result? It's a
Yeah,
question.
because her story ideas are very interesting. Like,
And she's very good at atmosphere. She's very
yeah,
good at
yeah.
those things, but sometimes there's something about like the action that feels like it falls short, or like I
Mhm.
can only speak to Mexican Gothic because again, I didn't really have problems with the beautiful ones, but it just felt like, our characters would be about like she set up this eerie scene, everything's
Mhm.
happening, and then what the characters actually did just kind of felt like, all right, and then it was like new scene. So it just felt like you wasted the atmosphere.
Right. I know exactly what you
So
mean.
you could have had the characters in there in that atmosphere that you created that is really well written, and have them doing things that enhances that atmosphere, makes it creepier,
Yeah.
really goes harder into it. And now you're just riveted.
Yes. Yes. That I wanted to be riveted with certain dark things. I wanted certain dark things to be a really dark
Mhm.
book, and it didn't feel dark enough for me.
When I have like, and I still am on my journey to figure out like horror, because
Same.
I like dark books, I like fucked up books, I like body horror, I
I love good
like
body
as
horror.
long as it's not just like egregious just to be
Mhm.
there like it's a Saw movie.
Mhm.
And you know, there I like sort of depressing. I like feeling scared. I like feeling like I'm on the edge of my seat and I have to know what's coming next and I can't close this book because what the fuck is going to happen next? Like when you have people who master the art of like ending every chapter or every couple chapters on that cliffhanger. I mean,
Yeah.
James S. A. Corey does that. They do that with Leviathan Wakes.
Yes.
And it's not every chapter, but like it's really like if it's not every
It's
chapter, it's
throughout the
like
book. Yeah.
every 3 or 4 chapters you get
Yeah.
this cliffhanger and you're like, "Oh god damn it, now I gotta read a few more
Oh
chapters," and then
yeah.
you're into it again and then cliffhanger, and, like,
Mhm.
those are all parts of learning how to pace your book appropriately.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into that. What is this episode becoming?
It's becoming fantastic. I'm just really enjoying myself. I don't know.
I'm just trying to figure out because I feel like we did have a theme at some point.
We did. We had a topic. We had a main discussion topic, but um
I no
yeah.
longer remember what that was, but I'm enjoying our conversation.
I'm enjoying it too. We were going to talk about like what kind of a reader are you?
An annoying one.
Well, we can dig into that topic now for a couple of minutes before we end the show.
Yeah.
But I have been enjoying all these various bookish related conversations.
I mean, I'd
It's
be
been a good one.
curious to see if there are other people who feel that way about Sylvia Moreno Garcia and
Yeah.
particularly Mexican Gothic, and um, what I want to try, and I actually just found 2 books on Pango. I found The Silent Companion and The Corset from Laura
Oh,
Purcell,
I
which
wanna
are
read her so
supposed to
badly.
be, like, really good gothic horror, and I just found them on Pango. I ordered them last night, so
Yeah.
they should be here soon,
I'm
and
ordering them this year because all last year I look for those all throughout the year to prep for October, and I never
people
see
don't get
her.
rid of
They
them.
don't. And I look. I never saw her in McKay. I never saw her in any thrift store. So
Mhm,
now I have to order her
mhm,
online.
mhm. I
So,
also got, the Lauren Olympus graphic novel?
mhm.
Somebody was getting rid of that for like $7 or something. So like, yeah, I'll get
Wow.
that. Anytime I see a graphic novel on Pango for not too much money, I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, because they're so expensive. Like if it's a graphic novel I've been thinking of
Mhm.
like getting and I've had my eye on, yeah, they're expensive.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You know who else I like? Is that Stacey Halls.
Stacey Halls, who's that?
So Stacey Hall, let me pull her up.
While you're pulling her
She
up, I forgot to tell you that Stacey Abrams
mhm.
has he has an interview with her, and that's chapter 1 of this book.
What?
And okay, so like I obviously know who Stacey Abrams is, but I've never
Yeah.
really like paid attention to her. And now I feel like I must
Yes, you
because
must.
just from that interview, I'm like, I think I love you.
Yes, you do. Mhm. Mhm. All right.
Like there's so many people in the world, I can't pay attention to them all, but like I'm like, huh, Stacey Abrams, we need to be friends.
All right. So, Stacey Halls is I think she's sort of like a Laura Purcell. She wrote The Familiars and The
Mm.
Foundling. I read The Familiars in 2019 and I loved it.
I see that book
So,
everywhere, and I've
it was
never read
really
it.
good. So I want to get my hands on The Foundling and Mrs. England for spooky season this year. So Stacey Halls and Laura Purcell are like high on my list. So I will be acquiring those. But I thought The Familiars was great.
How do you spell familiars?
Familiars. So I'm psyched about that.
Nope, got that wrong. Stacey Hall.
Halls. S on the end.
Stacey
And it's an EY for Stacy, not CY. CEY. If anyone's read
CEY.
her, let me know. But yeah, I really enjoyed The Familiars.
Oh, well, it's not on Pango. I was trying to see if it was on Pango because I have
Oh,
some money
okay.
there. But I could probably get it from the store. That store. I know I can get it from the store, from the library.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but yeah. So I don't know. Like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of reader are you? Like a mood reader versus other things?
All that kind of stuff. Are you a mood reader? When do you like to read? How do you pick your books? I've been listening to various bookish podcasts lately, and I'm very intrigued by just people's reading habits in general.
All right. So if I'm okay, so I like to make a stack, not just because I have a booktube channel, but I do like to make a stack to sort of gently organize myself into things I want to focus on because I have a lot of books. And if I just try to pick off the shelves, like my brain will explode and I won't read anything. So I
Wait, this is
make
this is interesting. Okay.
I need some structure or I get overwhelmed and I can't do things. So I create
Oh.
structure. Look, welcome to like psychology, Melissa. I have to create some structure in my life or I don't do things. And this is why I think I have undiagnosed ADHD because if you just leave me by myself without any direction whatsoever,
Yeah.
I won't nothing will occur. It's why I schedule myself even if I don't schedule
Yeah.
myself like you do, like in an organized way. In my head there is a schedule of like things I need to do today. It is Saturday. I am off. The problem is that like yesterday when we were going to his cousin's and
Right.
in my head I had this like
You had a
map of the
plan.
things that I
Mhm.
needed to do and it turned out that I that was going to have to change because we're going 5 hours earlier than we normally would to their house, and everything's lovely, there's nothing wrong with that, but, like, there is a panic that occurs because I'm like, "Oh
Right.
my god, ah." Like, I don't like changing the plan because then I feel like nothing will ever get done, but
Wow.
Medicine. Medicine's great. But yeah, so I like to make like a pile. So I make a pile, and these are the books that I would like to read. I don't always read all of them, and I do
Yeah.
stray from the pile, but I try to stick to the pile when I'm like, oh, should I read something? Let me go to the pile and see if I want to read anything from this pile.
Interesting.
Because
That
if
is
I just look at
interesting.
the shelves, I will get overwhelmed and I won't know what to read.
Okay. Okay. See, I thought you just had a pile just for booktube purposes.
No.
Okay. Finding out something new here.
Yeah,
All
and
right.
I
So,
would read all day because I listen to so many audiobooks. I prefer to do, like, everything with noise in my head because it's much easier for me to concentrate on, like, everything else that's happening if there's noise in my head. So, did you not think
wow.
that we were gonna go down this route of
We're
my
going.
insanity?
We're going down
So
there.
so I will literally like, if Jesus isn't home, I will literally listen to books all day. So and yeah, unless I'm like editing or something, I will listen to
Yeah.
books all day. So I
Huh.
whatever I'm doing, I'm listening to a book. Maybe I'm sitting and reading it too, but I'm listening to a book or working out. I don't know how there's people that like work out and listen to books. I'm like, no, I need angry,
Oh, I
aggressive
can't I
music.
can't do that. Yeah. No. Wow, okay. That's interesting. All right.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to send me some Ritalin, no, I'm joking. Don't send me Ritalin.
Wow. So the only time that I have a stack of books that I want to read is when I go to my library. Because obviously I'm not going to
Mm-mm.
put my library books on my bookshelves. So I always have my library books, either in a row on the floor or in a stack on my desk. But like as for my own books, I do just grab it from the shelf. The only books I pull out are our TBR Lowdown pick for the month. And if you and I said, "Hey, let's read this book together," then I would have those on my desk because I'm reading those throughout the
Yeah.
month. But everything else, I just like what because I don't know what I'm gonna be in the mood. I don't know what I'm gonna want to read really. Sometimes I have an idea like, oh, I think next month I'm gonna focus on blah blah blah. But I mean blah 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 could change.
Yeah, but I think I read diversely enough, like across every spectrum of diversity,
Hmm.
that when I do make piles, there tends to be something different to choose from when I look at the pile, you know?
But that still may not be what I want. Like you're talking genre, I'm just talking particular book. I
Yeah,
just
no, I
don't
don't get
know.
that. I don't get that finely filtered. But then sometimes I just scrap it all, like with the Black Prism. I was like, just have to read this now.
Hmm.
And that's why I'm not gonna
Interesting.
finish my TBR for like I really thought I was gonna actually finish my whole TBR for the first time in a very long time this month, but I'm not because
Yeah.
of wheel time. But I'm like, I'm not mad about it. Like, I don't care. I'm not somebody who's like, I must do this. But it's just I need
Yeah.
that loose structure so that I don't get overwhelmed looking at my shelves. Just coming to try to find books to recommend to you can like for these episodes can get really overwhelming. I'm like,
Well, yeah. Well, mainly because I'm trying to remember, like, did I already recommend this? Yeah, I have
mm,
a time with that. I do find it funny that there are quite a lot of people that seem to be in a rush to read their own books. What I realize about me is I am not very precious about this reading thing. I just read. Okay. I do not have any timelines for anything except for the book that TBR Lowdown picks for the book of the month. That
yeah.
is the only timeline that I have because we are also a book club and we choose one book a month. And that's the only book that I have every month where it's like I need to read it in this month. But like as far as the books that I own, I do look at my owned books like every unread book that I own is my lifetime TBR.
Yeah.
I have no goal to get through all the books that I own in a certain amount of time. They're to read through my lifetime. And
And I
so
unhaul
I don't
books
have
and
any
you
pressure
unhaul books
there.
a lot.
Oh yeah, I do.
So
Because
it's
I only
constantly
keep books that
changing.
I loved. I only keep books that I read and loved. If I read it and it was okay, it goes in a bag. It's going to McKay. If I read it and loved it, it's staying with me.
And it's not for me, it's not just even that. Sometimes it's like I really picked this up and I'm never getting to it. Like, I have a stack of books that need to go, things that need to go on Pango, that I need to get up there, and I've had them on here for a while, and I've sort of waffled on them, and I had to just say to myself, "You're not gonna read these, Alyssa. Like, whatever compelled you to get them in the first place, it's you're not there anymore, and that's fine.
And that
Like, it's
happens. I got a
fine."
whole bag to the left of me on the floor of books like that. Books that I bought a year ago, 2 years ago that for whatever reason I no longer ever want to read. All right,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna just, go to McKay and trade those in and somebody else can enjoy
But,
them.
like, I feel like I've kind of in this whole journey of having Bookstagram and being in this community, and being on the BookTube community and doing this, that, and the other thing, I have figured out kind of what kind of reading, at this point in time
Mhm.
makes Alyssa really happy. And
Yeah,
I like literary fiction.
I love it.
I like fantasy.
Mhm.
I like when those intersect. That's fantastic.
Mhm.
I love translated works.
Mhm.
I still like romance, but it's a sprinkling. It's like here and there when I just want that moment.
Yeah,
But I'm not like a romance reader.
right.
Whereas maybe like 5, 6 years ago I was.
Yeah.
Um and your tastes do change a little bit,
Oh yeah.
but there's still things that you love nostalgically, but, like, it's okay to be like, I'm never gonna read these books anymore. I don't feel compelled to read them. I don't want to read them.
Mhm.
Um, but I can give them to somebody who will want to read them. And what I love
Absolutely.
about Pango or going down to see you and giving them to McKay's is that somebody else is gonna get them
Yep.
and hopefully love them, and then so it doesn't feel like I'm wasting anything. And I also get a little bit of change back. I'm not making money like most of these books. I'm not making money. I'm losing money on it.
Yeah.
But there's some, you know, compensation that occurs, and then I can use that money to get more books, so I can swap them out on my shelves for something that I'm gonna like or
Exactly.
love.
Exactly. I'm right there
So,
with you. I'm right there with you. Yeah. I I love my McKay. I can't wait till you come down in April and we can do another whole book shopping run.
yeah, so I gotta
And
get everything up because what the plan is to my plan is to put everything on Pango, and then before I go down to see you, whatever's on there is gonna come
mhm.
down, and so I'll empty the shop and then give it to McKay's, and so then
Yeah.
because I can't keep all this stuff here forever. Like,
I mean, yeah, like as you know, I just added what 2.5 bookcases to my library.
mhm.
I have no more room to add another bookcase in here, and so like this is it. So I've really
I
got to
still
be.
have one bookcase in the bedroom,
Oh, I
but
see. I
I
I
haven't put anything in it.
I
I
know this
kinda
is
wanna
it.
get rid of that bookcase and get a so, I have 2 different styled bookshelves in my bedroom. I wanna get rid of
Yeah.
one of them and get a matching one so, like, it
Mhm.
looks better in the bedroom, but one
Yeah.
day. That's not, like, a priority because 'cause I'm not putting anything on it yet, like,
Right.
it's fine, like
Right. I mean, like space is still an issue. Like I added these extra bookcases, but like it didn't really give me. I mean, it gave me more space for my existing books, but like
mhm,
I can't like go out here and like acquire like 50 more books and think I have somewhere to put them because I really don't.
no.
I really
But, I
don't.
mean, if you saw the bottom underneath my, like, last shelf here on this wall,
That's where all your like crime and like stuff
but
is, right?
now
Your thriller.
I have a that's the back piles, and then there's now a front piles, they're
Oh no,
double
you double.
stacked.
Oh no.
And, like, the front stack are things that I have to get up on these shelves. So,
Oh.
but, like, doing the reshelf because I shelved by alphabetical order is, um, I have to actually, like, spend a bunch of time. I have to organize all my books. I feel like I'm a freaking librarian. I have to organize all my books by alphabet, by letter, and then get and make room and get them up here and then shuffle stuff. And then while I do, so it is like I take a day and I shelve books, but
Yeah.
um yeah, and then I'll unhaul more books while I'm doing that because I'll be like, "What is this?" And they'll get rid of it because I
Right.
need room to put the other books.
Right. I mean, I've got that other room in here that has two other bookcases as well as
Mhm.
books lined up against the wall. Let's not even go there. So, but let's talk about that. So, okay, so your shelves are organized alphabetically.
Yeah.
That seems that's interesting. I commend you on that.
So my books are separated, and we can maybe blame my grandmother, the librarian, for this. So romance is in the bedroom because
Because hello.
duh. Um, and my like what is that legal case that I have with the
Mm-hmm.
glass fronts that's downstairs, which I might bring up here, see if it'll fit. Um, that's all my nonfiction, and that's
Mm-hmm.
double stacked because my nonfiction is growing.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have all of my fiction, just general fiction here, and then I have fantasy corner, which is just fantasy.
Right.
And so, like, I
Wow.
separate mine by, like, it's like a little library. There are genre categories, and then everything is sorted by, except for nonfiction and romance are not sorted alphabetically. They're just kind of like
Right.
in there because I just haven't given it the space and time to.
Yeah. Mine are basically by genre for the most part. Like I've got two bookcases where it just focuses on fantasy, science fiction, and then like crime and thriller. And then I have one bookcase which is like just leftover stuff, like it's a hodgepodge of whatever. And then like
Mhm.
my all my shelves behind me, like the it goes from female black literature, male black literature, um, literary fiction to translated fiction, and then a mix of historical fiction, contemporary, and that's it. So like it kind of gets a little messy at the end, but that's basically how it's organized.
Yeah. So, like, I just couldn't figure out. It was just the easiest way to shelve everything was alphabetically. And honestly, it's I feel like what I like is that if you came to my house and you wanted to see if I had a book so that you could borrow it.
Oh, wait a
And
minute. I'm sorry. You
I
loan
mean,
people books?
I've loaned one person a book and the bitch still has it and is holding it hostage and I have to go to Pennsylvania to get it. But just in
Listen,
case. I know my mom and I loan books to each other, but
but that's mom. She doesn't count.
yeah, no, but the idea is that anybody can find the book they wanted if you just understood that like fantasy's over here, this is over there, this is over there.
Listen,
And you
people.
don't have to like think too hard.
Listen, people. I am not your local library. I
I,
I am not your local library. I do not loan books out. If I give you a book, I'm giving you the book. Not to give back to I'm not lending it to you. I'm giving you the book. I would rather buy a book with money out of my pocket than lend you one of the books that I own. I am not your local library. When I give people books, I have either read the book and I have an extra copy and I think you'll enjoy it too, or I just went online and bought you the books and now I'm giving it to you. But I do not loan out my books. That just makes my neck very tight.
I mean, it also makes Jesus it's easier for Jesus to go through the shelves and be like, "Oh, I wanna read this." Or, like, when we
Yeah.
go somewhere and I'm like, "Oh, now I have that because I mean, I
Yeah.
have a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
between what
Very
we get
interesting.
between what we get sent and, like, what I buy and, like,
Yeah.
what I thrift and, like, what I this and that, like, when we do go to a bookstore together,
Mhm.
there's a lot of times where I'm like, "No, I already have that. No, I already have that."
Let me just say that I
But
love
you
when
and the
you
man
and
don't go
no,
to the
because
bookstore
he
together.
doesn't read anything but sports.
And
This
Jesus
man reads
predominantly
sports.
just reads dry history and, like, textbooks on Egyptology, so
Yeah, like I'm like I stopped saying the man doesn't read because that's not true. He just reads different things. He reads sports news on his phone every freaking chance he gets because he I call him Mr. Sports. That is his love. That's what he reads about. It's the only thing that he really consumes. That and
that's good.
politics.
If it makes
So
him happy,
it
that's
makes
fine.
him happy. So I stopped saying that he doesn't read because he does. He just doesn't read physical novels like I do. But yeah, so we're not going to the bookstore together. And he would not want to go to the bookstore with me because he knows how long that I spend in the bookstores and he would die. Actually, he would just leave me and go to the car and just text me and say, "Just text me when you're ready." That's what he would do.
I think Hazy spends more time in the bookstores than I do, unless we're thrifting, maybe. Because when I go to a regular bookstore, since I own so many things, like usually there's something very specific I'm looking for in like a Barnes and Noble or whatever other bookstore you might have that I don't have because I only have Barnes and Noble.
Yeah.
um, but like if I'm thrifting, obviously it's different.
Oh, I should have
But
been more clear. That's what I meant because I don't often go to the or like a regular retail bookstore.
yeah, because then depending on what's happening when I'm thrifting, he could be stuck in a corner for a while looking through all the history books, and I have to find him.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I do like that I have a buddy for the bookstores.
It's nice. It's nice. See, I have to wait for you to bring your ass down here from New York. I mean, up here from New York to have a bookstore buddy because no one else is going with me. No one
Mm-mm.
else.
Your grandson goes with you?
Well, he goes with me. Yes, he does. He does, and that's really fun. That's our special grandma grandson time when we go
Yes.
together. So, and I've
So
turned him on to McKay too. He was like, "There are so many books in here," so we really loaded up like 6 months ago.
I love that so much.
Yeah, well, we had to go because so he's in fourth grade, and so like every
Yeah.
month they read a book from a different genre, and
Mhm.
they do a report on it. So we went and just got him like different genres of books so that
Oh.
he's ready. So he had a really good time. He just couldn't believe all the books at McKay in the kids section.
So, like,
So
my grandma was a school librarian, and, um, we would spend, like, the summers with her, like, if she was watching us, she would take us to the library. Because in the summer, like,
mhm.
when those kids aren't there, like, they're doing stuff in the library, they're getting rid of old books, they're da da da,
Yep.
updating the card catalog. You know, you young people, you don't know what a card catalog is.
Yeah.
And, I would love to get an old card catalog.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yes.
but, we would spend time in there, and then she would books that were getting given, or coming off the shelves, we would get those books,
Yeah.
or, if we wanted them, and my aunt's a teacher, and there were often times where classroom books were coming out for whatever reason, and
Mhm.
she and I would get to sift through those. So, like, my whole life has been just, like, sifting through other people's books and bringing them home.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So, like, I mean, I have a tote of books in behind this wall in Jesus's game room, the
Yeah.
guest room, and I have to figure out what I'm doing it because it's like a lot of books from when I was a kid, and I mean, like, random books I read when I was like, I guess what you would call middle grade now, and they are not middle
Mhm.
grade books. I don't know, like Paul Zindel and all this stuff, like My Darling, My Hamburger, and like I need to
Yeah.
like reread these books
Yeah.
to one day maybe I'll do like a reading vlog that's just me rereading these little
Yeah.
books that I read when I was a kid to see what I liked about them. But
Yeah.
yeah, but I didn't read normal people books. I feel like everybody's like Judy Blume, and I'm like, never read a Judy
I
Blume in
never
my whole
read
life.
Judy Blume.
Did I miss that?
I missed it. I never read Judy Blume. You know, I wish I had more of my childhood books. So when we moved from California
I have
to
Nancy Drews
Maryland,
down here, like
I
original
didn't get to
Nancy
take a lot of
Drews.
stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So that's the sad thing. Like I really only kept like stuff I really, really, really loved, you know? Um and stuff that I really, really needed. So like my mom had stuff shipped on the boat or were shipped on the ship from California to Maryland. And then I came via plane first and then
Mhm.
she drove.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't take a lot of stuff. So I don't have my childhood books. I wish I did because I mean, I'm old. I can't really remember everything that I read when I was younger, but I did not read Judy Blume. I know that for sure.
The things I remember are, like, the books that I have, obviously, and I read Laura Ingalls Wilder's, The Little House on the
Mhm.
Prairies thing. I had that whole thing. I read all of that. like Black Beauty, the all the horse books I read because I was such
Yeah.
a like horse girl, and but I was like the horse girl who wanted to be a horse girl, but her parents wouldn't buy her a fucking horse. So it's like a wannabe horse girl, and I don't know if I
Right.
dodged a bullet or not. I don't know. Who knows what Alyssa would have been if
She
she
was
had
a
actually been able
horse
to like
girl. Yeah.
fully morph into horse girl. Um, I don't know if the world is ready for that. And then, uh, what were the other books that we read? Like all the Roald Dahl books,
Mhm.
and that was like a large chunk of what we had. And then I feel
Yeah.
like you went sort of right into mostly adult books.
I do feel like that. That's why, yeah. It's
I don't think
strange.
the YA space, I mean, it existed, but I don't think it was as robust as it is now.
Right.
There wasn't this like big collection of work that would bridge that gap between sort of middle grade chapter
Mhm.
books to, I guess, like upper high school, college real
Right.
books.
Yeah. Because
I
when
mean,
I
like,
was
I was
in
reading, like, Hemingway. Where are they? I see them all. Like, I was reading Hemingway for a really long time because I love Hemingway. And,
yeah.
like, Austen, and, like, there were a lot of classics that got read because that's really what was available to me. I'm sure that wasn't the other things existed, but, like, immediately it was this is not, it was the '90s and the early
Right.
2000s.
Because I know
Mostly
high
the '90s. You
school, we
couldn't
were
just
reading
go
just
everywhere.
adult books. High
Yeah.
school, we weren't reading quote unquote young adult. We just read adult books in high
But we
school.
didn't have social media and stuff. It was the '90s, there was no social media. You had whatever
Yeah.
was there, and half the time it was what you read in school or what your parents had or
Mhm.
what you saw in the bookstore, and I feel like it was narrower
Yeah.
from what I can remember. And I watch other booktubers like the booktube goddess, right,
Yeah.
who is older than me, is probably closer to you than
I
he is
think
to
he's closer to
me.
my age. Yeah.
Yeah, he's closer to your age.
Yeah.
But like, we're similarly time, we've crossed enough decades together. Um, growing up, and he's reading a lot of classic fantasy, but
Mhm.
like none of that is really young adult. So
No, it
like
isn't.
it doesn't matter what your genre was. Like you still didn't have like a Sarah J. Maas,
Exactly. Exactly.
which is why I think Harry Potter took off the way it did.
Because it really did
Because
fill a gap.
yeah, there wasn't a ton of competition in that space. It existed, but it wasn't overly saturated.
Yeah. So interesting.
So you could come out with a really killer story
Mhm.
and and really grab a hold of the market.
And that's exactly what happened. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's so true. Well, this has been a very interesting conversation today.
I, I don't think any of this was what we planned on talking about, but I enjoyed it.
It was wonderful. I liked it because it was loose, it was fluid, and it was hella bookish.
It was
I
hella
I
bookish. I
I
mean,
loved it. I
these are
loved
the
it.
things I think about all the time. So
Right. And so I guess we're going to end with our book recommendations for this episode. You all already got one for me at the top of the show. I already told you read Cleopatra and Frankenstein, so do that. Do that. And I don't think I've mentioned this book on here. I don't think, but I am also going to recommend this book titled Creatures by Chrissy Van Meter.
oh, is it the one with the penises on the cover?
Now, this is a
They're
book,
not actually dicks
right?
if you're not watching the video. They're actually like
Exactly.
sea anemones and mushrooms and things. But
It's a beautiful cover, but it is this cover that when the publisher initially Algonquin, this is published by Algonquin, when they initially approached me about the book, I was like, what is this? The cover just threw me off so much. And they actually approached me twice. And so the second time I said yes. I'm so glad I did because this was really a surprisingly wonderful book. It's very short. It's only 200 and 249 pages. So it says on the eve of um Evangeline's wedding on Winter Island, the groom may be lost at sea, a dead whale is trapped in the harbor, and Evie's most absent mother has shown up out of the blue. From there, in this mesmerizing, provocative debut, the narrative flows back and forth through time as Evie reckons with her complicated upbringing, a weed dealing, charming but neglectful father, a wild child best friend in this lush land off the coast of Southern California. This book was so good. And also it was kind of so sad. So you've got Evie, this young child, and she's got these parents, and she's got this kooky mom and this wild dad. And she's got one of those mothers that kind of like, just she just disappears. She leaves her family. She's got some crap going on. And so she's left with the father. And while the father is very loving, he loves his daughter, but he is like, he's wild. Like he's selling weed. He's got crazy house parties all the time. Everybody's drinking. Like it is not the atmosphere to be raising a child, especially a daughter, with all these creepy, wild, druggy drunk people in their house all the time partying like nobody's business, right?
Mhm.
And so she's got all that going on, but then like also, she misses her mother. And she's got that kind of a mother where this mother just comes in and out. Like she's gone for a while, no word from her really, no one knows what's going on. Then all of a sudden she's back, but she comes back like a hurricane that's just gonna disrupt the entire family. So it's like at some point you feel like in this book, it's like, why don't you just stay gone? Because you're causing so much pain, so much anger, so much grief. When you come back, you're doing more harm than good. I mean, I really felt for Evie in this book because she really didn't have a silent parent at all. Not at all. She really needed some grounding in the parental category. And so you really felt for her. And, she's going through things. The dad has this random girlfriend who is more motherly to her than her actual mother. And so she kind of helps her out a bit. But like, Evie has no stability. I mean, like, no supervision. Too much
Right.
is going on around her. And it's just kind of heartbreaking. I did not expect that from this book. Does this cover indicate any of what I just said?
No, because I'm not mature enough to look at that many phallic looking creatures.
So that's why I said it was surprisingly good, and it was very short, but the story felt very full, and I loved it. I loved it. So that's Creatures by Chrissy Van Meter.
All right. So I just called an audible and I figured I was staring at my shelves before and that's why I rolled away for a minute. I figured since we talked about the books we read when we were like young adult people,
Hmm.
and how they don't necessarily jive with maybe what young adults read now,
Yeah,
predominantly. I'm gonna recommend Test the Dubervilles by Tom Hardy.
I need to read that.
So this is like one of those classics that is really melodramatic, but is surprisingly feminist. So, eh, so Tess is like this poor innocent girl who really is trying to do all the right things. Her family is like just a bunch of fuck ups, and nobody really gives her any direction. But she ends up getting sexually assaulted by
Mm,
somebody, and from that point forward, it's her life just takes this turn, and she just can never. She becomes this very tragic figure, and it says a lot about the restrictions on women and the burdens that would be placed on women at this time, and the shame that we placed on women. And
mm,
it's remarkably similar to things that happen now, where like, the man doesn't necessarily have to hold any, uh, um, what's the word? My brain just blank. But there's no consequences necessarily for the man's actions.
yeah.
It doesn't tarnish his reputation. It doesn't have to do anything. But like at every turn, Tessa's just failed by every system that should save her. And she
Wow.
actually is a very like caring, loving, good-natured, tries to do her best. She isn't like some wanton slut. Like
Right.
she is a good-hearted person, but it's just there's no real direction. And There's a lot of God woven in, a lot of church woven into this, and not even that is saving Tess. So you can't even claim like a religious superiority or whatever and be like, well, she's just, she's not godly enough and that's why. You can't
Right.
all that like stuff you hear nowadays about like purity culture and all that nonsense like no. So it is a very old book. It because of the biblical references, there's a lot that gets kind of missed unless you have like a really good understanding of um the Bible. But even outside of that, you get the point of the story. And it's
Hmm.
the tragedy that is just Tessa's life. And it says a lot to how society fails women. And it's
Mm.
a remarkable book for its time because most books wouldn't do that. And it was really sort of like Thomas Hardy got like a lot of shit for it. There's a quote in the forward here that I really liked that I flagged when I did my reread like
Hmm.
last year. It says, "Unfortunately, not all late Victorian novel readers wish to have their minds influenced." In April 1892, the New York editor of the Book Buyer wrote about a friend of his who, quote, was earnest and vehement in his complaint against Thomas Hardy for his treatment of Tess. Said this pleasure loving person, there is enough suffering in real life. I go to a novel to escape from it. Does this not sound familiar? And when I read a book like
Yes.
Tess, I feel defrauded. That's
Oh.
1892. So, like, how much does that, like, so
Oh.
this is so still
Wow.
relevant today.
Yes, it
So,
is.
there is value in classics, my friends. There are some that I feel like are must reads, and I think Thomas Hardy is phenomenal, and Tess is a favorite. And I just have so much empathy for Tess because there's nobody at any point who truly can save her, even when she finds somebody who seemingly loves her and is a good person. All of the sins of her past, which aren't even her sins, they're the sins of others that have just been shoved onto her,
Mm.
keep her from having any sort of happiness. It is so it's awful. So, like, it's
Wow.
tragic, it's sad, um, but it has a lot to say, and I don't think that we've changed all that much.
Wow. Well, it's on my shelves and I will be reading it, this year.
So,
So, wow.
yes,
All
and
right.
I may or
Whew.
may not have taken this out of my school library and never returned it. So, sorry, Hackley. It's still here.
Well, that was a fun episode. All right. Well, we've got to wrap this up because we've got more episodes to record and the day
Yeah, and
is
it's
just
a long
flying
one.
by. Yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
thanks folks for tuning in. We appreciate your support and that's going to do it for us. Bye.
Bye.